Secret, I adopted 2 children, and I wholeheartedly regret that decision. I want my old life back. I'm a biological mom of 3. I love them dearly. The bond I have with them is beautiful and it is precious to me. I'm a good mom, and I'm so proud of how I raised them until those 2 adopted kids came along.
You all, I know we've talked about parents that are regretful parents, but we've never talked about adoption regrets. Parents that adopted their children and they got regretful. And I feel like if you get to a stage whereby you went for adoption, it's because you really wanted that child. You really feel like, oh, I need a child, because adoption process is no joke. It takes a lot of work, right? So I personally, in my head, I believe that there is nobody should feel regretful for adoption. Like, oh, I wish I never had these children. I wish I never went to collect the children. I can't wait for their mother to come and pick them. Until I saw a video this morning of this woman saying that she has a little secret to share. And she said that she regrets adopting 2 children. She has 3 children before she went to adopt the 2, and she said she doesn't love them. She cares about them, but she doesn't love them. It's so heartbreaking because anyway, let me show you the video.
Telling your secrets out loud, this one might trigger some emotions. I'm hoping we can lead with empathy and compassion. Ready? Secret, I adopted 2 children, and I wholeheartedly regret that decision. I want my old life back. I'm a biological mom of 3. I love them dearly. The bond I have with them is beautiful and it is precious to me. I'm a good mom, and I'm so proud of how I raised them until those 2 adopted kids came along. My biological kids range between the ages of 12 and 21. And over 5 to 10 years ago, a long distant family member lost her infants due to substance abuse. I was randomly contacted by a social worker because apparently they try to find any kin who can pass a background check to take in the kids. The social worker asked me if I could take the kids for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, while they investigated the situation. It would be short term. 2 weeks has turned into many, many years. I've never loved these kids. Yes, I care for them, but it's not love. And people have asked me about that. They've asked if I feel like I love them, like I gave birth to them, and I say yes. Of course I do, but that's a lie. I feel like I'm babysitting them, like their mom is going to come get them soon, and I will finally be relieved of all momming duties to these kids. The guilt that I feel for all of the sacrifices that I made for a family member's kids is suffocating. Because my 3 kids, they needed me too. My then barely teenage daughters, they needed me so much, and I was stuck caring for kids that I never planned on caring for, while foster care kept saying it was just going to be a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. I was stuck taking my family members' kids to visits and therapy and appointments, while my 3 kids suffered without me. I don't think I'm necessarily the best mom to these adopted kids, but everybody calls me a saint for taking them in, and they mention how lucky they are to have me. In reality, they're only with me because something horrific happened to them, and there was no other member of the family who could pass a background check. I cringe every time they call me mom, or every time one of my biological kids is needing me, but I am obligated to care for the adopted kids. My whole family has suffered because of my decision to say yes and help. My whole circle thinks I am some angel, and inside, I just wish their mom would get healthy and pick them up so that I can be free and finally get my original first family back. But I fake it. I fake it really well. The adopted kids, they don't feel the resentment that I am feeling. Everyone thinks I'm a perfect mom, so caring and so giving. And inside, I want them to be gone. I want to come home to my first family without the interruption of kids crying or disturbing my attention from the kids that I am a biological mother to. And I know this is awful. I know how people are going to feel about this, but I can't shift it. I just appreciate getting it out somewhere because I can't admit this to anyone.
When I saw the video, the very first thing that came to my mind was, how would these kids feel? How are they feeling? How are other adopted children feeling? Or how would they feel when they see this video? Because sometimes I saw a video one time ago that somebody was like, no matter how much you think you love an adopted child, you cannot love them more than your biological children. I don't understand how that works, to be honest, because I have not been in that position to be able to debunk that. But I feel like you can love anybody, you can love any child you want to love if you put in your heart in it. If you see them as your child, you can love them regardless. That is what is in my head, right? So seeing that video and seeing her say she doesn't love them, she doesn't care about them, she just wants their mother to come and take them away, she doesn't want them, she wants her family back. I cannot imagine how she's definitely going to take care of those children, or she's definitely not going to take care of children the way she's taking care of her own children. There is going to be difference on how she take care of her children and how she take care of those children. And she's trying to also say that people see it that, oh, we love the way you're taking care of the children, we love the way you see the children as your children, or do you love the children? And she tends to lie to people that yes, she loves the children. You all, have you adopted any child before and you ever feel regret with adopting them? Or are you an adopted child or children? Do you feel a kind of different way on how your parents treated you compared to their biological children? Kindly let's have conversation in the comment section. I saw different videos that we're going to talk about. It's also about this adoption, right? So let me roll the first one. She was saying that she's an adopted child and they adopted her before the mother got pregnant to their own biological children, but they never treated both of them the same. They always treat the biological one better, but they don't treat her the same. Let me show you the video.
Growing up in my adoptive home, it was really weird because my parents had a biological son when I was almost 3 years old. And he was always loved more and he was given things that I wasn't given. Like, let's go through some examples because a lot of people don't really understand this, but I lived it. So for example, he got a cell phone when he was like 9. I wasn't allowed to have one. He was allowed to play his sports and travel all over the country. He went to Canada. I was so good at basketball and I was only allowed to do local. He had a TV and an Xbox in his room. I was not allowed to have a TV in my room. And he's younger than me. And another one is he was allowed to take a car to college. I was dropped off and not given shit. He was allowed to go out of state, paid full ride. I was not. And it's like, holy shit. He was allowed to pretty much do whatever he wanted. He was allowed to get C's on his average, in school. I was in trouble if I got less than a 90. Like, I had to get straight A's. And it created this weird feeling for me to just feel like I'm not enough, that like it doesn't matter what I do, I'm like a workhorse, like I'm just here to perform for these people. And it led me to sabotage myself. Like, the whole point of this video is like those energies that I grew up with, that way that I felt inadequate, I felt unloved, like it led me down the pathway of so many addictions. I struggled with alcohol, I struggled with a lot of pills, I struggled with sleeping around. Like, I struggled with a lot of things in response, because that was my way to have control. I sabotaged myself in so many ways because I tried to create that feeling of inferiority that home induced for me. And I think that a lot of people misunderstand how adoption trauma can really impact us and cause us to self-sabotage. And it's literally because of the years of feeling less than their biological son, who was permitted to perform at a lesser degree than me, was allowed to do whatever he wanted, and I was never enough. Nothing I did was ever enough. And thankfully I went no contact with them, and I did a lot of therapy. I have a lot of certifications. I started getting into, the work that I do now, and I have this, I have a different account, Crystalline Vision, if you've ever seen me on TikTok. But I've started wanting to shift more into adoption, but I've held a lot of space for a lot of people. I've done a lot of trauma healing. And what I realized is that I wasn't hitting my own core wound, and I was performing and doing the same thing that I did in my adoptive home on that account. It was like, oh, I'm helping all these people who don't relate to me, but I can do it for them. And, I don't know, I just grew up feeling so unloved and so inadequate, and like I had to perform to receive. And I'm finally at this place now where I just love and accept myself fully. I am so grateful to be where I'm at. I have the family unit I always wanted. Like, I had a brother and a sister that I was separated from, and so I have 2 girls and a boy. And I don't know, the point of this is that if you felt like you were not loved and that you were treated less than, you were. You absolutely were. You're not wrong. Your brain's not wrong. You're not stupid. They were incapable of seeing the fact that they were treating you less than. And that comes with the fact that a lot of biological parents are connected to their biological children, and they do not share that connection with the adopted child. And I know that a lot of parents do a great job, and this is not an attack. I just had to share this because I know so many people lived this life where they viewed it through the lens of I'm less than, and why does this child, when you say you love us the same, get everything and I get nothing? It was just such a lived experience for me, and I'm finally on the other end of it of like, okay, that's fucked up. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with you.
There's going to always be a difference. That is what people say. There must be a difference. You must see that, oh, this person is adopted, this person is not adopted. But I feel like if you don't want a child, why go through the stress to go look for a child in a home, and you bringing them to your own house, and you're not treating them the way you're supposed to treat your own children? It's really so sad, because it's more or less like, okay, there's no point. There's no point going through all the old stress and be like, okay, I need a child, I need children. Let me go to foster care to look for children. And at the end of the day, you come back and have those kids, or they give you those children or child, but you don't love them the way you should love your own biological children. They should not even feel like they were adopted. They're not supposed to even feel like they were adopted. They should see you as their biological mother and father. That's how it's supposed to be. There's this video that this woman said that adoption should favor the children, the babies, not the parents. But the way adoption is, it only favors the parents. The parents get to look for children to adopt or babies to adopt because they feel like it's going to add to their life. They feel like they cannot probably reproduce, or they need somebody to fill the home. So they go to look for it for their own personal interest. But most of the time, it is not for the interest of the baby. Let me show you the video.
So I'm never going to support someone adopting because they want a child for whatever reason. Whether it be they can't conceive, they're infertile, whatever reason it is. Because adoption is supposed to be what is best for the child. Adoption is not supposed to exist to appease what adults want. I hate the mentality that someone thinks they're entitled to another person's child because they can't have one. And I'm going to be biased about that because that is my exact adoption situation. Any adoption that is through an agency turns a child into an exchanged good. I will never, ever support adoption agencies. The only time I find an adoption ethical is when the child is old enough to give and understand consent to being adopted. And I don't think that could be any younger than like 10 or 11. As a baby, I could not consent to being adopted. I did not consent to being taken from my mom, having my name changed, and having my identity erased. And there are a lot of kids in the foster care system who risk aging out because barely anyone wants to adopt an older kid. They want a baby. There is a high demand for small children, not so much for older kids. So to anyone who tells me they want to adopt, I encourage them to consider adopting from foster care older children. And if you're thinking, no, because those kids would have too many problems, I don't want a kid with trauma attached to them, then you shouldn't be adopting at all. Every adoption, no matter the age or situation, is going to come with an extent of trauma of loss and separation. Babies are not blank slates, but young children are often treated as blank slates. And if you're not ready or equipped to handle the way trauma can manifest inwardly or outwardly with a child, then again, I don't think you should be adopting. Adopted people rarely have autonomy over their own existence. So that's why I think it's really important that anyone who is possibly placed for adoption has an absolute say in their adoption.
Anyways, what is your take on this conversation that we had in today's video? Kindly share your thoughts down in the comment section respectfully. I personally feel very sad and hurt for these children that this woman adopted. I cannot even imagine what they might be going through. Being in a home that you're not loved, even though you care about them, but they are not loved, and you wish that they were never there. Like, it is so painful, and I don't even know. You shouldn't go through adoption if you know that you don't want to have kids. Yes, people regret having children, but I don't expect people that went for adoption should regret adopting. You know what you're getting into. You know how difficult it is to have children, and you went through so many paperwork, so many meetings and match to get a child, and you are regretful about those children. If you're regretful about your adopted children, definitely you are regretful about your children. You just don't want to admit yet. Anyways, what is your take on this video? Can you share your thoughts down in the comment section respectfully? Your girl Maya Davis, and thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.